Hello everyone, welcome to RAAONLINE. I am Dr. Anbarasi, Professor of Physiology from Chettinad Hospital and Research Institute. I have been teaching physiology for the past 15 years and here I am going to take you all to the basic concepts of neurophysiology. So this is the specific learning objectives of this particular session, that is organization of central nervous system. Here we are going to see about the organization and components of nervous system like central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, what is somatic, what is autonomic and what is enteric nervous system. All those things we are going to see. And we'll be seeing about the types of cells present in the nervous system and the types of nerve fibers. And little bit we are going to see about myelination and its clinical significance. Nervous system in the human beings is composed of three different types: central nervous system, peripheral nervous system and autonomic nervous system. The central nervous system or the structures includes the structures, the brain and the spinal cord. These are the structures which are covered by the meninges. There are three different layers of meninges: the outer dura mater, the middle arachnoid matter and the inner pia mater. So both brain, which is present inside the skull, and the spinal cord, which is present inside the vertebral column, these two are comprised in the central nervous system. Peripheral nervous system is actually having somatic nervous system, which is dealing with the functions of musculoskeletal system predominantly. So this function is served by two different types of nerve fibers. One is the spinal nerves, the other one is the cranial nerves. The spinal nerves and the cranial nerves, they got their names from the origin. That is, spinal nerves, they originated from the spinal cord, whereas the cranial nerves, they originated from the cranium, that is actually the skull. So there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves and there are 12 pairs of cranial nerves. So these are the nerves that are responsible for the locomotor function or the muscle contraction and all musculoskeletal functions. The third important part of the nervous system is the autonomic nervous system, which is actually dealing with the visceral functions of the body. That is, those structures which are present inside the body, the thorax, abdomen, all these organ systems are supplied by this autonomic nerves. Okay. So there are two different distinction between the autonomic nervous system, sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. These two systems, sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, are responsible for the proper functioning of the viscera in our body. So this will be dealt as a separate topic. Apart from this, there is one other part of the nervous system which is also called as little brain or third nervous system that you have to remember, that is enteric nervous system. Some prefer this enteric nervous system to be included in the autonomic nervous system and some deal it separately. As a whole, this enteric nervous system is also called as third brain or little nervous system because it includes almost all the nervous elements of this autonomic nervous system. So these are the subdivisions of the nervous system. We have got central and the peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system includes the brain and the spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system includes all the peripheral ganglia. So these are the subdivisions of the nervous system, which includes the central, peripheral and the autonomic nervous components. The central nervous system includes the brain and the spinal cord. Here, exception is the second cranial nerve, that is the optic nerve and the retina. Though it is a cranial nerve, structurally it is present inside the skull, so it is included in the central nervous system. And the special feature of the central nervous system here is the myelination, that is process of covering a myelin sheath around the nerves. That is done by a special glial cell called as oligodendrocytes inside the central nervous system. And once the axons are injured or the nerve fiber is getting injured inside the central nervous system, it cannot regenerate. That is very important. Okay. Peripheral nervous system includes all the peripheral ganglia, including the cell bodies, the sensory receptors for different types of sensations, and all the peripheral portions of the spinal and the cranial nerves except this second cranial nerve. And this includes both afferent as well as the efferent fibers, nerve fibers of the spinal and the cranial nerves. Okay, so these are included in the peripheral ganglia. As I told you, these nerve fibers are responsible for the functions of the somatic motor system. Here the special feature is this myelination, that is wrapping around the myelin sheath, is provided by the specific type of cells, glial cells called as Schwann cells. Okay, and once if there is any injury to the nerve fiber or the cell body, here the axons can regenerate. That is the difference between the central and the peripheral nerve fibers. Okay, in the third type we saw autonomic nervous system. Structurally, they include the portions of CNS as well as the PNS. Okay, say for example, certain cranial nerves, they have the central nervous system component as well as the peripheral nervous system component. Okay, and functionally they have different system. That is what we just saw in the previous slide, that is sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. They are functionally totally different. Okay, so these are the subdivisions of the nervous system. This slide actually gives you the anatomical divisions of the brain. We divide anatomically as forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain, alternatively called as prosencephalon, mesencephalon and rhombencephalon. Prosencephalon again divided into telencephalon and diencephalon. Telencephalon includes the cerebral cortex and the subcortical structures including basal ganglia, hippocampus and amygdala. Okay, and diencephalon includes thalamus and hypothalamus. These are all having different collection of nuclei. Say for example, certain nuclei or certain cell bodies, they actually have similar functions and they group together, and such groups are called as nuclei if it is present in the central nervous system, and if it is present outside the central nervous system, they are called as ganglia. Okay, so these thalamus has got different collections of nuclei. Similarly, hypothalamus has got different collections of nuclei. So they all have certain similar functions. Next is the midbrain, which is also called as mesencephalon, which includes tectum and tegmentum. Tegmentum is the floor of the midbrain, whereas tectum is the roof of midbrain. This tectum includes the inferior colliculus and the superior colliculus. Then comes the hindbrain or rhombencephalon, which includes metencephalon and myelencephalon. Metencephalon includes pons and cerebellum, whereas myelencephalon includes medulla oblongata. Okay, so this medulla oblongata, pons and the midbrain together, they are called as brainstem. So why I'm insisting on knowing these anatomical structures? Because many a times we come across these words. We come across tectum, we come across colliculus, we come across thalamus, hypothalamus, basal ganglia, brainstem. Okay, so all these terms are very important. That's why I'm insisting to know about these anatomical terms as well.